What's up YouTube, welcome back to Whacked Out ECIG. First off, I want to thank everyone who has not unsubscribed from the channel in the past 2 weeks because I was on a break. And I want to welcome all the new subscribers that have recently joined. I hope you find what you're looking for and maybe learn something new in these reviews. Today I have the Kayfun Mini version 3. If you've been vaping for a while, you probably would have heard of the Kayfun. There are a series of rebuildable tank atomizers by a German company called Screwbacco. They're all known for their flavor and their quality, and this one is right in line with that. And it's both two things that I like to look for in a tank, so that's why I bought one, that's why I'm reviewing it. And without wasting any more of your time, let's go look at it up close. I'll show you how I like to build it, and then we'll come back up and talk about it. Okay, so this is the Kayfun Mini V3 all broken down, except for a few parts inside of the deck, but I'll show you that after. I want to start this off by saying a bad thing and a good thing about this tank, and that is the packaging. So this is the entire thing that it came in, just a small cardboard box. Came with a user manual that shows you obviously how to use it and explains the warranty, which is everything that is metal on this is warranted for a year. Everything that's like the glass and the O-rings is not covered in the warranty. A whole lot of O-rings, spare screws and stuff like that. So yeah, good to see that. But the fact that I paid about $150 or more, I can't remember exactly, but around $150 for just a cardboard box, didn't even come with a little screwdriver for the small screws inside of the deck. No extra glass or anything. I was not impressed by that, but the good thing about this is that this is the biggest con, and I think that's a really good thing, because if the biggest con is the packaging, which I'm not using daily, I'm using the tank daily, the biggest con is the packaging. I'm pretty impressed. So let's start with the drip tip. You get your Screwbacco logo that's etched in there. You can feel it with your finger, but it doesn't get in the way of your mouth or anything. 2 O-rings for a very snug fit, and I measured this to be about 7 millimeters in diameter, so definitely not a wide bore drip tip. It's small because it's a mini tank, so it has to go with that. But yeah, I really like this drip tip. This is the top cap that the drip tip fits into, and it's very snug in there. Once there's liquid, a little bit of liquid on it, it gets actually pretty difficult to get in and out, but I leave it in there because I like it. You get these notches, which is not just for style, it serves a purpose, and I'll show you that in a second. So this is the top cap, and this screws into there. And when the tank is all set up, you unscrew this, and the way you unscrew it is by holding on to these notches to give you some grip. You unscrew it, and then you will fill through there. So very cool system, and the threads on here are just amazing. Very nice. Then is just your basic glass, pretty good quality, pretty thick for what it is, but you don't get a spare one, and another one if you want to buy them is about 13 Canadian dollars. So this is the chimney. Again, you get your Screwbacco logo. These are your juice flow holes, and you get a lot of them, so it wicks very well for the size and the capacity and everything. It's pretty cool. And then in there is your chimney, and again, this looks like a big chimney. It's very small, and in there it's very condensed, and it has that cone shape as well, so you're getting some really good flavor out of this. Glass sits on there, and then the top will screw in, and there you are set up with the majority of the tank. You see the chimney there. Okay, so here is your deck. This is the very simple Kayfun looking deck that, if you know a Kayfun, you're probably used to seeing it. Positive, negative, one air hole, made for one coil, very simple. These holes are your airflow holes, and that's not how you adjust it, it's just where it comes in. And you get the same kind of triangle notches on there because you also use that for grip, but when it's all together, it makes it look very nice. At the bottom here, you have your Screwbacco logo once again, serial number. When you unscrew the 510 pin, the bottom piece of the deck comes out as well. Very simple like that. And in there, you can see another screw, and that is actually your airflow. To a lot of people that's going to be a con, and I thought it would be for me as well, but it's made so that you set it once, you find how you like it, and you leave it like that. It's not for someone that likes to mess around with their stuff all the time. And the only reason I'm taking this out now is to show you. For the most part, you set it, forget it, and it's good to go. I don't really know if they could have done it better. This is how they like to do their airflow with their tanks, and it seems to work for them, and it works for me now, so I don't really mind it. Now, depending on how deep you screw this back in will not only change your airflow, but it will change how far your 510 pin can go back in. So if I can get this in now, there we go. I screwed it pretty much all the way in, so this is gonna go in as far as it can, and that holds everything in place, and it's ready to go. So when you screw back on the top, it will get to the point where it is pretty much on, makes the seal, and then if you can see in those holes, the juice flow holes, that is adjustable, and I'll show you that once we fill it up and put a build in it. So let's do that now. So the tools that you will need to build this coil are a Phillips head screwdriver, something to wrap the coil around. I'm using a 2mm bit from the Coil Master kit, wire cutters, scissors, and tweezers. You will also need some cotton. I'm just using a pad of Japanese cotton, and 26 gauge Canthal wire. So a little trick I like to use to determine how much wire I need is I keep an eye on that hole where I got the wire out of, and just unravel once. Then I hold it just past that hole, take my wire cutters, cut it, and then it's just long enough for me to make a coil and long enough for me to thread it back through, bend it over, and keep it in place. And now I have my wire cut. I can take my coil jig that I've been using all the time pretty much now. I'll bend it off, and since I'm using the 2mm rod, I'll be using the 2mm piece for it. Press it up, and we're gonna do 8 wraps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now this is a Kayfun, and I'll hold it in place there. You can see that the two screws are in opposite directions, so your leads are going to need to go in opposite directions. We'll have that one going there. Now we can unscrew this, take out the coil. I'll put it back on to the rod and then bend this back in the opposite direction. And there we have our coil going into opposite directions. Now Kayfuns use a very old technology where there are no post holes. They just have the screws, and you have to trap the wire underneath the screw, which makes the connection. So I'll take my coil, and I like to do this with the leads coming underneath instead of over, if that makes sense. And this is very hard to do on camera, but I'll hold it in place and I'll wrap one wire underneath. Okay, so I got one around, and on camera this is almost impossible, so I'll try and do the other one. You can either wrap it around or you can bring it around like how I just did there. Either way, you want it to be as tight as possible underneath that screw, and just tighten it down. Now we can unravel that again, take out our posts, and look how messy that is. So I like to, instead of snipping them with the wire cutters, I like to just wiggle them, but if you want, you can do the wire cutters, completely up to you. Now that's in pretty much a good place, but we want it to be directly centered over that airflow hole, and we want to bring it up because I like a good bit of gap in there to make sure the air can flow freely and you get some good flavor and a decent amount of heat going into the coil as well. So you're going to want to play around with how high to bring the coil above that airflow, but whatever is comfortable to you is the correct height. So yeah, let's heat this up. Okay, so I've got this on the mini volt and I'll heat this up. Ignore the resistance for now because it will change. I'm just gonna pulse this a few times until it's glowing evenly. If you're too impatient to do that or you don't want to heat it up too many times, you can squeeze it with ceramic tweezers. Make sure they're ceramic if you're firing it and squeezing it, because you need something non-conductive. Also, you can brush it and that will do the trick as well. This seems like it's playing around a bit, so what I'll do is just tighten down these post screws a bit. Make sure that everything's tight, and there we go, that's glowing pretty nicely. So I'm happy with that. I'll put some cotton in it. So I've actually found that the less cotton you use, the better, because you don't want too much that even if you open up the juice flow control that it gives you dry hits. But no matter how small you have, you can close down that juice flow to make it work. So just about that is what I've been liking. And if you can see these little notches cut out there, I tend to eye it and cut it to just about where it will sit in those bits. We're going to want to play with it a bit, just make sure that it's loose but not all over the place, and that may even be a bit too much cotton, but we'll see. And here is where we need the tweezers. So I want to thank Korak Stan for this tip. I was just going to stuff them in myself, but if you fold it like that, and I just messed that up horribly, but if you fold it, it gives you a nice kind of like streamlined look to the cotton, and that helps with wicking. So they're just kind of sitting there in the deck. We'll take the next side, squeeze it. Sorry, that should be better on camera. Squeeze it, fold it, use your finger to hold it in place, and take more time when you do it. Keep an eye on it. It's a bit more difficult on camera, but yeah, that's about what you're looking for. Flatten it out, brush it out, make sure it's wide and open so that it can wick easily. And we're ready to go. So let's put some juice on there. And I actually just realized that whole time that the camera was tilted. I hope it didn't bother you too much. If it did, I'll try and fix it in post. So if you didn't notice anything happening, oh, it's happening again. If you didn't notice anything happening, don't worry about it. Oh, the juice I'm using is Screwbacco by the Steam Factory. It's a US company, and it's a strawberry cream tobacco flavor, and it's fucking amazing. So just wetting it up like I would any other RTA. You don't want to flood it, probably don't want to put as much as I just put on it, but we'll see if that's firing. And it is. Now we can take the rest of our tank, screw it on, and we're going to want to keep screwing until it stops. It may seem like a long time, but eventually it does stop. There we go. And that is the juice flow control stopping. Just grab onto there, unscrew. I'll speed this up. And there is it filled up, but right now the juice flow control is still closed. So here is what, as far as I know, this is what they recommend to do. Everyone else I've seen doing this, and it works perfectly fine for me as well. Keep an eye on this Fomesto logo. Hold on to the airflow hole kind of ring that's tapered up. Hold on to those notches so you have a grip. Hold on to the glass and the top part and spin it. And that's one spin, two spin. You can see bubbles coming up. Now it's starting to whip. The juice flow control is opening up. And just for good measure, this is about a 70-30 juice, I think, and it's been working completely fine at 2.5 turns. So the juice is coming up, it's wicking, it's ready to go. Let's go and vape it. So the first thing I want to talk about with this is the size. seeing it in pictures and in videos and in reviews, you kind of get an idea of what it looks like, but I didn't realize how small it was until I held it in my hand. It is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. The height without the drip tip is about 58 millimeters as far as I know, and that's about an average height for a tank, but that combined with the fact that it's 19 millimeters in diameter makes it a very small tank, and with that size, it comes with a 2 mil capacity, and that's not a lot of liquid, but it's not made to consume a lot of liquid. With this build I have in here at 12 watts, I can vape this regularly, like a regular person, throughout the day, and it will last me pretty much the entire day. But if I start chain vaping it, it's going to go down quickly. The good thing about that is that even when it does go down, it's very simple to fill. I just have to hold the airflow, the notches on the airflow, twist it down until it closes, open the top, fill it up, and then hold the airflow again, give it 2.5 turns depending on the thickness of your juice, and it's ready to go again. So I don't think that's a con, but it's worth mentioning for anyone that likes to chain vape every day, all day. Now for this kind of tank, there's 2 wires that I mainly like to use, and since this is the kind of tank that I like to use all the time, I basically only use 2 types of wire. The main one is 26 gauge. I find it's right in the middle of everything. You get good surface area, but also a good amount of heat. It ramps up quickly, and you get a good kind of mid-range resistance for a coil. And 28 gauge is the other one I've tried with this. Now I've tried 2.5 and 3 millimeter rods wrapping the coils around, and anywhere between 5 and 9 wraps. So I've tried a good set of different coils in this, and for how I like to vape with the airflow completely open at about 12 watts with 0.8 ohms, so it's a low voltage kind of vape, but I find that a 2 millimeter 26 gauge coil with about 8 wraps is just perfect for me. I'm still getting good flavor. It's still surprisingly warm because it's so small and condensed, but it's just a really nice vape that doesn't drink the juice and doesn't kill my battery. So that's everything that I look for in a tank. Now Kayfuns have always been known as a mouth to lung tank. They've opened up the airflow compared to other ones a bit more with this, and surprisingly I like the airflow fully open in this with a very restricted lung hit compared to the mouth to lung. The reason for that is not the airflow, at least I don't think it's the airflow, but no matter what juice I put into this, with a mouth to lung kind of setup, the throat hit just isn't there. It feels muted to me, and throat hit is pretty important to me, and I feel like for the majority of vapors it's pretty important too. So yeah, that's something to note, but with it fully open and a 6 milligram juice, it feels pretty good. And vapor production is more than enough for me. You know, it's a bit more than you would get from a cigarette, and you still get amazing flavor, and it's warm. Now, the juices that I've put through this, I put through a good set of juices, and right now I'm vaping Screwbacco. I showed you it up close. It's by the Steam Factory. It's a US juice, and we have it in Canada. I got it at the ECIG Flavorium. I'll put the link in the description. But it costs around 27 Canadian for 30 mils of it, which is expensive because our dollar is shit, and also it's just a generally expensive juice. But imported from the States, it goes up a bit as well. So I don't know. It's completely up to you. This is just what I'm using now, and I love it. It's unlike any other strawberry vape I've had, and it's unlike any tobacco flavor that I've had. So combining those two together, it's just a really nice vape. But this is about 70% VG, and I get 0 dry hits out of it. Anything below that, you're going to have 0 dry hits out of. And I find once you get up to the 80 VG range, like I've tried almost every 12 Monkeys juice, which are, except Tropica, that's a 90. I haven't even tried that one. But all the others, they're 80 VG. And vaping it like a regular person throughout the day, it doesn't dry hit. But if I start chain vaping it, it goes dry on me. So that's not a con, but I just wanted to let you know that if all you vape is maximum VG liquids, you're probably going to have some problems with this if you're chain vaping. Finally, I want to talk about who this is for, because this is clearly not for everyone. First of all, if you have a very tight vape budget, this is probably not for you. I paid 150 Canadian dollars for this, and that is pricey. They're retailing in the States for 99 US, so it kind of works out like that, 130 something before tax Canadian. It is a lot of money to drop on a tank, but like I said in the Snapdragon review, it's not something that's like a flavor of the week kind of thing. This is a tank that you're going to buy, that you're going to use almost exclusively, unless you're someone like me that is trying out new things all the time. But I'm still using this all the time because I know that the quality is there. I don't have to buy replaceable coils for it, and it's going to last me a long time. So I think it's worth the price. Although I think it should have come in better packaging, and I thought maybe it could have come with an extra glass because, you know, it's exposed and it doesn't come with another one, so you have to pay extra for that. So if you are a kind of beginner in vaping, you know, you haven't ventured into rebuilding yet, but you see people doing it and you want to try it, but the only thing stopping you is the fact that it looks really difficult and that you don't want to blow massive clouds, this is perfect. This is very simple to set up unless you have trouble with very small parts, and it's very conservative when it comes to juice consumption and vapor production. So I mean, this is plenty vapor for most people. And you get the benefit of building your own coils, adjusting your vape to exactly how you want it, saving money on not buying coils, potentially saving money on liquid if you're vaping at a low enough wattage, and it's going to last you a long time. So even if you do upgrade in the future, this is still going to be there for you. So the other person I think this is for is someone like me, someone that likes to vape rebuildable tanks, which I vape almost exclusively, someone who looks for flavor over almost everything, and someone who doesn't really care about vapor. That's pretty much what I look for in a tank, and if you are the same, I think you're really going to enjoy this. You know, it is on the pricier side of things, but this is an investment. If you buy this and you're using almost exclusively this, it's going to pay for itself in the long run because you're not buying replaceable coils anymore, and it's not going through a shitload of juice or batteries. So yeah, that's about it for the Kayfun. If you have any questions about it, or if you own one yourself, please leave a comment below. If you enjoyed the review, give it a like, give it a share, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and a link to where you can buy this at Dash Vapes will be in the description. I jump on it soon because it seems like they're running out, but yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon.